Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Zoe Rossblatt. It is great to see all your smiling faces. I am calling in from my kitchen in New Jersey as per usual, but I would love to hear where you guys are all from. So if you want to stick it in the chat and let us know. Last time we had people all over the States and around the world. So it's always great to see your smiling faces and hear where you're calling from. Speaking of the chat box, feel free to use it throughout the night. Throw your comments in, throw your questions, chat with each other. We know we encourage everyone to stay on mute during the event, but we love when everyone interacts in the chat. So please use it. It's open. It's there to have fun with. And welcome to 2021. It is the start of a new year. We are kicking it off together as a Creaky Joints community. There's a lot of fun and good things in store for us, especially a vaccine. We know many in our community have been having a lot of questions and concerns about the COVID-19 vaccine and what it means for you as someone with an autoimmune, inflammatory, chronic disease. And I want you all to know that we have so many resources and we are publishing them daily. I will put a link in the chat after the introduction to where you can find these resources. And I also wanted to remind everyone that you can still join our COVID-19 patient support program. It's free. All our events are always free and our resources as well. And we are constantly publishing articles and there's weekly newsletters so you can stay up to date on the different news and support related to coronavirus. So as we welcome in the new year, we wanted to kick it off in the mindset of resolutions, but a little bit different. As we're a Creaky Kitchen community, we figured what a better way than to start with tools and tips that you can use to actually, keep some of these resolutions in an easy way. How can we incorporate more healthy habits into our routines, especially with our quarantine snacking? I know I haven't been the healthiest over this time, and I'm excited to hear from both Chantelle and Brooke how we can up our game and how I can up my game and what foods are good for me to eat. We have a lot of fun in store. First up, we have our guest chef, Chantelle, who's been with us for episodes 1 and 2, and now back for a third. Thank you, Chantelle. She'll be teaching us how to make a salad, how to make a dressing that goes with it, just delicious, healthy food, and how she spruces it up to make it delicious as well as nutritious. And later in the evening, we'll hear from Brooke Levine, who is a registered dietitian, and she'll share her expert tips on how we can avoid trigger foods and focus on foods that are good for us. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Chantelle to kick things off. Thank you, Chantelle, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my kitchen. We're going to do something, like Zoe said, a little bit different. With the new year and everything that's been going on, I can speak for myself at least. I could use a good meal that works on a weeknight, comes together in a big bowl, and is lower on calories and fat than what I would really like to probably have, but we'll digress. Anyway, this whole meal comes together in my big bowl. I love this bowl. I bought this bowl years ago. The store closed over a decade ago. It was near Harvard Square. And it is just a big solid wood bowl made in Vermont. I have no idea who made it because I've had it for so long, the copyright is gone on the bottom. But I use this to make big salads for everyone, that guy over there, friends, family, and it's just been in my life for decades and I love it. So I use it specifically to make salad dressings, and I even make those dressings and sometimes bottle them, which is another story. So it is easy to go to the store or a bodega or whatever and just grab a bottle of dressing and keep it moving. But a lot of store-bought dressings have a ton of sugar, which I didn't know, and ingredients that you can't pronounce. And we can do better than that. We can make all of this at home for cheaper, and you'll know what's in it. So dressings can range from anything from like a vinaigrette or like a creamy, like a ranch or cheesy, like a blue cheese. And again, we can do all of that. They can be blended, they can be broken. It can be as simple as just oil and vinegar. So over the years, I've learned how to kind of adjust and make my house dressing and all kinds of things. But this one that we're going to do tonight is like a lemon vinaigrette. You might see some salmon hanging out over here. That's been marinating for about 15 minutes in lemon juice and olive oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of red pepper flake because I like spicy. And what I'll be doing in the bowl is making the dressing. You can make the dressing in measuring cup, which a lot of people do because it's easy to track the ratio. 1 part of acid, like vinegar or lemon juice or orange juice, to 2 parts of oil. But I've been using this bowl for so long that I can make the dressing in the bowl by the sound my whisk makes. It sounds weird, but I'll walk you through it. So for this dressing, we're going to start with the juice of 2 lemons, and I'm using a lemon juicer. Easiest way to get all the juice out and no seeds. And it's pretty easy to handle even with a mild flare. I would say that if I was flaring a little bit harder, I would have my husband do this, but I'm pretty okay today. So we're going to do 2 lemons right in the bowl. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon zest, which I already zested. I'm going to do honey. Now, like I said, a lot of store-bought dressings, yes, they do have a lot of sugar, but we can control how much it is if we're just putting in our own little dab of honey. And this is just to kind of cut the acidity, and it also helps with emulsification. I'm using big words tonight. Another emulsification helper, Dijon Mustard. I put this in just about every vinaigrette that I do. That's just been my standard practice. It's about a little bit over a teaspoon. And we'll just, fingers are fine because they're clean. And then off camera, salt and pepper. Forgot to bring them over earlier. So a pinch of salt and 8 cracks of pepper. I don't know why, but I have to do them in even numbers. 10. For the salmon, I have some herbs that I already chopped up. And in the salad mix that I'm using is one of those herbs, and that is dill. So I like to kind of tie in the ingredients of what's in the salad and whatever protein is going to be topping it. So that's why that's there. And then this good old extra virgin olive oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start whisking. And at this point, you could do just about anything from here. Sometimes when I do it with a vinegar as opposed to with a lemon juice or an orange juice or lime juice, I will put in like a garlic or shallots or something like that and let it sit there for a good 10-15 minutes so that it infuses into the flavor of the vinegar, and then add the oil. It just adds a different level of flavor that's just fantastic. But for this one, we're going to keep it pretty simple. So here's my lemon juice and zest and everything, and this is a speed pour. And I'm whisking as I'm pouring, and the sound will change right there. It's deeper, and this dressing will not break. Maybe a tiny bit, but you can just whisk it back together and it will come back together and coat all of your leaves really evenly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some herbs onto the salmon. I'm going to stick that into the oven. That'll take about 15-20 minutes. They're pretty thin. They were not the best today, but maybe 15 minutes. And when I pull them out, I'll have chopped up my veg. I've just got some salad in a bag. Like I say, take it from the store anytime you can. I've got some, again, from the store, croutons. Now, I usually make my own croutons in a wok, but they're really loud because the wok is really loud. And I thought that would just hurt you guys' ears. So we took some help from the store again today. And then I'm just going to do some cucumbers and tomatoes. So if you guys want to turn it over and then come back in about 15-20 minutes, and I should be able to plate up dinner.
Awesome. Thank you, Chantelle. Everyone, before we turn it over to Brooke, I would also like to tell you about another upcoming opportunity we have to get together digitally. We have a webinar coming up that's on let's see, here, Wednesday, January 27 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The webinar is titled Structural Racism in Healthcare, Why Should You Care? Learn how racism in medicine impacts you and what you can do about it. We have a panel of speakers lined up, lots of doctors who will talk about their experience and how racism has impacted patients' care. Participation is free. You'll walk away with some action items about what you can do to combat these injustices. So just be on the lookout. That information will be coming to you all shortly. Back to our CreakyKitchen activities. I would like to welcome Brooke Levine. She's a registered dietitian. She has her own private practice, Brooke's Mission. We're lucky to have her here. I've known her for 10 years. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. Brooke, thank you for joining us tonight, and we can't wait to see what you have in store.
Thank you, Zoe, for the warm welcome. I'm so happy to be here. Hi, CreakyKitchen. I have a special presentation for all of you, and I heard that you're all really interested about learning about how food affects autoimmune disease, so I'm here to help with that. So welcome. I recently started my own private practice after going to NYU for a bachelor's in nutrition and food science, and then I went on to work in a community setting at Meals on Wheels and a clinical setting at a nursing home and rehab center. So I'm here and I have lots of experience, and I'm really happy to talk to you guys about how to manage your disease. So I'm here working on, okay, so what exactly is a registered dietitian? I know you guys hear a lot of buzzwords like, what is a nutritionist? What is a health coach? So what actually is a registered dietitian? So a registered dietitian is an expert in identifying and treating disease-related malnutrition and in conducting medical nutrition therapy. That means that I work with doctors, I work with nurses, I work with healthcare professionals, and I'm licensed by my state, New York, and the country of the United States to help you manage, prevent, and treat whatever you have, whatever condition you have through diet. So I'm here to help you use food as medicine instead of, or in addition to, whatever medication you are taking. So that brings me here. What is inflammation, and what does it even have to do with me? What does it have to do with diet? So inflammation is the body's response to an irritant or a pathogen. I'm sure you all know because you have it, but how does it relate, right? Like, think of it this way. Remember when you got a splinter when you were younger, you were walking outside on a patio or a deck or something, and you got a splinter in your foot. Think about around that splinter. It started to be painful, right? It started to get red and maybe even a little swollen. So that's our body's defense mechanism trying to protect us from that irritant, from that pathogen. So in terms of an autoimmune disorder or disease, inflammation occurs when our bodies mistaken our own tissues as an irritant instead of a germ or a pathogen. So think of it this way. Let's say you ate something that wasn't so good for you, whatever your doctor told you. Try and stay away from sugars because that's going to give you inflammation. So think of it this way. The sugar is that irritant. It's that pathogen that's going to make our bodies kind of put this defense system into action. So instead of having that response, you can try and change your diet and minimize that response. So the characteristics of what happens when you get that splinter or you eat that food that's not so good for you are redness, swelling, heat, pain, and loss of function. So did you know that changing your diet, just even one small thing a day, can decrease the severity and the overall occurrence of these symptoms? So something that I usually recommend is called an elimination diet. So once every few weeks, I want you to take one food that you eat every day. For me, that would be a slice of bread, right? I have a slice of bread every day, toast in the morning, and white bread, and I would eliminate that and for about 2 weeks, and then add it back in and see, check in on my symptoms of inflammation. How am I having more flare-ups? Am I having more redness, swelling, heat, pain, loss of function? If I am, then I know I need to make a change to that food. So test that out for a little bit and then try and make a swap. And then repeat that again with another food and try and reduce the severity and the symptoms through your diet. And that will ultimately make you feel better. And also, it's fun to play around with what you're eating because you get to try new things and you may find something you really like. So, foods that typically cause inflammation are really sugary foods, alcoholic beverages. I'm sorry for you drinkers, full fat dairy. Sorry for the ice cream lovers. Fatty red meats and cured meats, trans fats, saturated and vegetable fats, highly processed foods, and refined carbohydrates. So these foods trigger everyone differently. Differently in terms of some people might not be triggered by a certain food on this list, and another person might be triggered more than another person. So the severity varies because everybody's body is different and how it responds is different. So I'd love to see what foods trigger you. If you know what they are, please write them in the chat box because I'd love to see and hopefully get to address that later. And so you can all learn from each other. So what I like to say is I want you to upgrade your diet. I don't want you to abandon something that you love. I don't want you to think that you're burdened by a diet. I would just want you to know that a diet is a habitual way of eating. It's not cutting out all the foods you love. So how do we do this, right? So let's cut back on the inflammatory foods that you typically have through this elimination diet. But I know it's hard to make a change. It's hard for anyone to make a change in general, right? So I'm not expecting you to see this presentation and right after it ends, run to your cabinets and your fridges and throw everything out. I don't want you to do that. That's a waste of money and a waste of perfectly good food. I want you to make a small change. Every day, if you like to have 3 snacks, I want you to change one. Change one snack from a cookie to a fruit. Change it to something that you know will cause less inflammation, which I'll address. And each small change adds up. Every day your change adds up and will help you create a healthy new habit. And I want you to use your ultimate one change, and if you turn it into a habit over a month, I want you to use that as momentum to go to the next month and to make another small change. And I'm not saying don't enjoy something that causes a flare, but to have it less regularly and to use that as a treat. And to manage your expectations, know that if you're going to have a flare up, or this may possibly cause a flare up, just know that you're going to do your best and make sure the rest of your day will be full of food that has anti-inflammatory properties. All right, so I like to call this an upgrade, a swap. I want you to swap, right? So foods that we mentioned before, right, that cause flare-ups, like high fat dairy. So instead of having a full fat yogurt for breakfast or for a snack or a bowl of ice cream, I want you to have a low fat yogurt or a light string cheese instead of cheese and crackers. And another thing, instead of your white crackers that you usually have, like the Cars crackers, I know, I love those, switch those out for brown rice cakes, because having whole grains is so much better for you and causes less of a flare-up. Another thing I like to recommend is, instead of highly processed pretzels that have refined sugars and starches in them that cause inflammation, switch to a leafy green, which is really anti-inflammatory, and something that has the same amount of satisfaction of the crunch and the salt is a kale chip. You can make them at home, or you can buy them prepackaged. And something I like to recommend instead of an alcoholic beverage is a antioxidant rich unsweetened green tea. You can sweeten it on your own with stevia or whatever kind of sweetener that you prefer. But it's great to have it unsweetened, because if you buy it from the store and it's sweetened with sugar, that will also cause inflammation. So the antioxidant rich green tea is a great alternative to an alcoholic beverage. So another thing I like to recommend is anything with tomatoes. So anything with tomatoes has a really great anti-inflammatory property. So I like to recommend having your favorite salsa, right? My favorite is Tostitos, whatever brand you like, go for it. It's delicious, it's low in calories, and can be enjoyed with your crudité of choice. So if you like baby carrots, celery sticks, any kind of vegetable, that will also give you that crunch satisfaction without the oil that causes inflammation from potato chips or tortilla chips. So I don't know if any of you guys like to snack on jerky, beef jerky, or salami or packaged meats, but those really cause inflammation. They're higher in fats, and the processing is the best for you. So something I like to recommend is a poultry alternative like chicken. I know there's lots of chicken jerky options. Also the same thing, there's a salmon jerky option that I've seen that's really great. But another thing that's great to enjoy is tuna. Tuna is low in fat and really good for you, and a great source of protein. So with the rice cakes, you can enjoy the tuna. And something I also like to recommend is, instead of your high sugar, high fat peanut butter and jelly, I like to recommend a alternative that is almond butter and fresh berries, just a little bit mashed up. So that's really great because it's full of fiber and not full of all the sugar. And just to finish up on the snack upgrades, I like to end on a sweet note because I'm a sucker for sweets. So instead of having a store-bought cookie like Chips Ahoy or an Oreo, try swapping it for a low sugar option of oatmeal. It's hot, it gives you that satisfaction of a straight out of the oven cookie, and they come in really great flavors. You can add your own flavoring if you want to get a unflavored option, and it's really delicious, and trust me, you won't be sorry. Okay, and I'd like to thank you all, and for more tips and tricks, you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever you have. I've got it, or visit my website. So if you have any comments or concerns, I'd love to see if you just write in the chat box, and I can help address that.
It's Zoe. I saw one question come through. It says, so what about those of us who can't do so much vegetables or fruit, for maybe people that have digestive diseases? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so if you can't get all that in, I'd like to recommend a supplement, whatever kind of vitamin or mineral that you're looking for. Definitely take something like that. But whatever fruits and vegetables you aren't sensitive to, I'd recommend eating that as much as possible. And if you are even open to it, making a smoothie, because it's an easier way to get it all down without, it's not as time consuming as chewing each fruit and vegetable and finding the time in the day to eat it. Okay. So I just want to address one question I see. I hear a lot of people are talking about nightshade vegetables and that they're inflammatory. So I've looked into this a lot because a lot of my personal clients have been told that, but There is no written proof. There's no clinical studies that promote that. Actually, tomatoes, which are considered a nightshade vegetable, have really amazing anti-inflammatory properties. So I always say, if you hear something from someone, you read it on a chat box somewhere, just always make sure to look it up and see if it has any clinical data supporting it. A really great website I like to use is PubMed or Harvard Review. That's where you get all the really good clinical studies that show if it's true or not. Oh, I see someone's talking about collagen supplements. So you've been stirring it into your coffee once a day. It's supposed to be really good for your hair, skin, and nails. There is talk about collagen helping rebuild cartilage. There's no clinical studies done yet because collagen has really just become popular in the past year or two. And something that has been proven is that it helps reduce pain. So that's a benefit no matter what. So I say use it. One day maybe there will be a clinical study that comes out and proves it to be true. Okay, I can look for another question.
I think we have a question earlier about turmeric. There's a lot of talk about how that has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. So do you have advice on incorporating that into dishes?
Yes. So turmeric has amazing anti-inflammatory properties, and I know it has a really pungent taste. A lot of people don't like it. So if you don't like it, it comes in a supplement form. You just take it as a little pill. You don't taste it, and it really helps if you take it consistently. But and another thing, I take it daily, but in a tea. I buy it in like little organic tea bags, drop it in hot water, and that's how I take it. But I know a lot of people can sprinkle it into their oatmeal, put it in soups and stews, sprinkle it right on top if you're making any kind of dip, like if you're making guacamole or hummus, anything, just right on top. So I see someone said for IBD and autoimmune conditions, raw vegetables and whole grains can wreak havoc and cause pain. Tomatoes and corn, no way. So for some people, if certain foods cause flare-ups for you, don't eat them. Even if I'm saying that tomatoes can lower inflammation for a lot of people, if that's a trigger food for you, don't have it. But a lot of the times it's the seeds that can cause issues. So you can always just de-seed it if you're having a really big, like a big tomato. I see someone said that fresh veggies make them feel great. That's really great. I'm so happy. It's great to have them fresh. It's great to have them roasted. Enjoy them. And that smoothies are really good. Again, smoothies are a great way to have everything at one time. Try and get all your servings in one day.
I see we have a question here about low-carb, gluten-free suggestions. So maybe do you have a fun snack swap that you love?
Yeah, sure. So any fruit or vegetable is low carb. Gluten-free, same thing. I like to recommend, these are really good. They're pretzels made out of cauliflower. You can't tell the difference. They're gluten-free. They're crunchy, they're delicious. That's a really good option. I also recommend popcorn if you don't have a sensitivity to popcorn or corn in general.
I think we have time for one more question. I see there's a question in the chat here. What can you tell us about ginger, please?
So ginger is delicious. I think it's delicious. It's a great thing to incorporate into cooking. It helps reduce the amount of oil that you need in terms of flavor. A lot of people compensate for use less oil. so they use more flavor. Another great thing is that it helps lower blood pressure. In terms of autoimmune issues, I really don't know, but I just do know that if you like it, eat it because it has a lot of benefits.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much, Brooke. So many wonderful tips. I saw many people taking notes, and I hope this helps so many people. And I also saw that Chantelle is taking the salmon out of the oven. I believe so. Chantelle, should we pass it back to you?
Yes, ma'am. So the salmon is out. I roasted it with a little bit of white wine, the aforementioned lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper, and red pepper because I like it spicy. And on top of it, I put a mixture of parsley, chives, and dill. It just so happens that that's what they had at the store today that I thought looked good. Whatever combination of herbs you like better, go for it. And this works well with just about any protein, just to do a quick, throw it in at 425 and it just comes out perfect. It's a nice, light, flaky, yummy piece of fish. So in my favorite big bowl, I have the dressing still, and then I diced up some cucumbers and tomatoes and I put them in first to soak. I don't know why I do this. I just do. I've done it forever, and I feel like it makes the tomatoes and the cucumbers, they soak in the flavor of the vinaigrette, and it just turned out delicious. These are weird. If they're up, they don't work. If they're down, they do. And I find them to be incredibly wonderful for even on my worst flare days. Love these. Don't know where my dad got them. Otherwise, I would tell you. So I'm going to add our big bag of salad. This is going to be more than enough for me and that bag today. And like I said, this is an organic mix that has some herbs in it. It's got some parsley in it as well. It's also got dill. It's from my favorite store, Smader Smoes. I think we know what that is. And we're just gonna mix everything up. And I'm also gonna add in the croutons at this time. The reason I'm doing that, because I like them to soak up a little bit of the dressing too. I want them to still be crunchy though, so that's why I didn't put them in earlier. And if it wasn't so loud, I would have made them here for you guys, but we just went ahead and took some help from the store. It's Thursday. So big giant salad. And because it's just my husband and I tonight, we're probably just gonna eat this right out of the bowl. To be honest with you, just go at it with 2 forks. But if I was serving this to someone, obviously I'd plate it up and everything. And we're just gonna have this, plate up our salmon, which looks delish. I would put it on top of the salad, but it is really, really hot right now. But that's just a quick weeknight dinner. I mean, all this came together inside of half an hour, and it's super nutritious, lots of veggies, great protein, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you, Chantelle. So awesome, so healthy. What a terrific start for the new year. Thank you, Brooke, as well. We just put Brooke's email address in. People were loving the tips you had. And we also put a link for Brooke's mission. You can visit her website, learn more about her and her recommendations there. And as well, her Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all of the above. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We will see you next month on the 3rd Thursday of the month for our episode 4 of Creaky Kitchen. Chantelle will be cooking up something delicious for us. And it's wonderful to see your faces. Happy 2021 to good things from here on out. Thank you, everyone.